Welcome to the Prosper Nutrition Show. Today, we will be discussing how genetic testing can reveal solutions for chronic conditions. This is an important subject. There's a lot of misunderstanding about this topic, so stick around. We're going to dive into it. Again, this is the Prosper Nutrition Show where we want you to prosper and be in health. My name is Jason Steves. I'm a clinical account specialist with Perk Integrative Health. I'm also a nutrition professional at the Nutrition and Health Center. I work with my co-host here, Steve Steves, who is a clinical nutritionist and naturopath. He founded Nutrition and Health Center 30 years ago. He's been helping people overcome chronic health conditions for that time and longer. And he's also my dad. He's pioneered helping us to overcome health issues with lifestyle and nutrition. Dad, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. It's a beautiful day outside, nice cool weather, and excited about genetic testing, Jason. I know we're going to talk about that, but I'm the first subject to get tested. I've done a little genetic testing in the past, but this lab has such detailed functional information. I'm really excited to get into it, and obviously pretty excited. I just invested in testing myself. So I'm excited to go through those results, but we're going to go through just a different panel today called Nutrigen.
Yeah.
Has to do with a number of different functional aspects.
So, do you mind if I ask you what motivated you to kind of get into? Because we've obviously talked about genetics and how important it is to work on lifestyle for the expression of genetics, but would you share with everybody kind of what is encouraging you to kind of dive more deeply into this side of things?
Yeah, that's a good question, considering I've been doing this work for 30 years and now with the future being still going to be working, but why would a guy that's going to be 66 years of age want to take on another functional test that, number one, I need to learn about more in detail? There is so much biochemistry tied into genetic function that is fascinating. And of course, I guess maybe it's my hidden desire for a greater challenge as I get older. But what is really behind it all is people in general don't get motivated easily for change unless they really know it's critical. And when you know your genetic weaknesses, your predisposition for diabetes or your predisposition for heart disease or cancer, that's what this is all about. And it gives you the specific metabolic pathways of what nutrients you're not going to metabolize well, that you need more of, and you need specialized formulas for them, and everything in between, including your sensitivity to what foods are going to work best for you, even though we know a lot based on different blood types, and we do our food and chemical sensitivity testing, but there's some certain genetic signals that tell us specifically that this person will or will not have issues with grains, or they will have issues and risk to celiac where they don't tolerate grain, and it causes all kinds of inflammation in the gut. So the bottom line to your question, Jason, is we want to give people a solid foundation that says this is who you are metabolically, your genetic strengths and weaknesses, run with it, and watch your body respond really well. We're excited how people will take this.
Yeah.
And this is more valuable than virtually any test that can be done at any level, in my opinion. I love the LRA test. I love my blood chemistry evaluation, our micronutrient tests, our neurotransmitters. They all have great benefits, but this genetically tells us if you'll metabolize your foods, like I said, very well, or if foods that we get tested for in our LRA, it'll tell you about your ability to metabolize or synthesize your neurotransmitters. So you can see that obviously somewhat from each individual test, but this is so foundational, Jason. Really
Right.
excited. Everybody is going to be able to
Yeah.
have the opportunity and just ordering the kit, and it's a swab you do inside your mouth and send back off to the lab.
Yeah,
Excited.
so we've got folks, if you want to read up on it, we've got a web page now describing the genetic testing in general, and then it talks a little bit about specifically the panels we're using. So if you go on nutritionhealthcenter.com, you go to services, functional health testing, drop down to genetic testing, you'll come to our page here, and you can read more about it, how it works, how you can do the testing, the costs for the different panels that we're doing, and some common questions here. And this one is kind of a good one to start, I feel like, Steve, is I mean, most people I think understand what genetic testing is, identifying changes in genes. You kind of talked a little bit about that. Helps detect inherited health issues, predispositions to certain diseases or things of that nature. And so what is the next step is like, what are the reasons that someone like would want to do the genetic testing for themselves? Like, why would someone be motivated to do it for themselves? And how would you explain that?
The bottom line on that question is they'll have more targeted, specific nutrient
Mm,
support that they'll get. There's even a genetic marker for your susceptibility for how you utilize magnesium. It's one of the reasons that I take more magnesium than the average person. I'm pretty certain that I have a genetic problem with magnesium metabolism. I've seen it in the past, but when I get to see my results coming forward, hopefully this coming week, it'll be exciting to know even refining my chemistry more so that I can enjoy my latter years. And it helps us to put up safeguards. That's a real
mm,
key element there is thinking about, well, I saw that my dad had heart disease. I saw that my mom had diabetes or whatever you experience in your family members. But are you certain that which risks you have? Because genetically, we're all just a little bit different. And this test will give you the answers so that you can develop a personalized nutrition program specifically by your genetics. Give you
right.
an example, Jason, if you could roll up on that sample test.
Hmm.
You have to click, I guess, right? We went past it.
Oh, we did.
No, where is that
Yeah.
sample?
There
Went.
it is.
There it is. So on page 4, they call this efficacies page. And this is a general summary of the overall test results. Now, there's 6 more pages to it of details of your foods and details of your nutrients. But you can scroll through this and you can see that red is a very severe inefficiency. You can see the first one there on the left that this particular person tested shows a low efficacy of their ability to reduce body fat and regulate cholesterol levels with exercise. They just don't metabolize as well with exercise. That's an
Mm,
interesting genetic marker, which I was unfamiliar with. You know, some people, they do a little bit of exercise and boom, they put on tons of muscle.
okay.
So there's
Some people
obviously
don't
further
respond.
answers to that.
Yeah, okay. Hmm.
But if you look at the next one, it shows the morphological genetics in overweight predisposition. And this one is a medium. Oh, no, this is more of a medium to high risk for this individual. A higher risk of being overweight or obese caused mainly by inherited genetics following the recommendations of their DNA test will improve their outcomes. So they can lose the weight, but they have specific guidelines that they need to follow. And you can see that from this report as we look at the individual vitamins, the individual minerals over on the right hand. Those metabolites are necessary, especially the ones in red, to help with different parts of biochemistry for weight loss. Glucose metabolism, same scenario. This dysregulation of glucose can put them at risk for diabetes. And also, when they don't regulate sugar well and they start craving sugar more, what are the things that improve the regulation of sugar? And you can see this moderate to medium to high risk on their vitamin E, a vitamin E protocol. And we use mixed tocopherol E to make sure they get a good dose into the cell membrane. But this also needs to be backed up with an omega check. We need to make sure that the client is getting enough omega fats so that the cell membranes will allow for the proper genetic signals, for the proper neurotransmitter signals and hormonal signals, so that glucose can be metabolized, or carbohydrates, or fats, proteins, gene signals for hormones, neurotransmitters. If you scroll down a little bit, you see fat metabolism. This person has a medium to high risk sensitivity there, not well in how they metabolize their fat. So this also would be confirmed by what their blood chemistries look like in their liver enzymes, their lipid panel, how they metabolize cholesterol, LDL. Behavioral genetics in food intake, medium to low dysregulation of food intake and behavior. So behavioral genetics are factored in. Then in the upper right-hand column, you see intolerant risks for celiac disease is flagged there, medium to high risk. It looks like this person metabolizes lactose fairly well, alcohol, caffeine, and fructose. So depending on how much of that they get in their diet, if they do it in moderation, it shouldn't be harmful to them. And then looking at the vitamin and mineral deficiency risks, this doesn't say you are low in B6, you are low in B12 or vitamin E. It says even taking these nutrients, you're not going to metabolize it as well as somebody else who doesn't have the genetic predisposition for that. So anything that's flagged yellow, orange, or red requires copious nutrient support on a regular basis for the rest of their life because of these genetic weaknesses. It's interesting that this particular client metabolizes vitamin C so well. Isn't it interesting you meet people, Jason, that they don't really take a lot of vitamin C, and they eat some fruits and vegetables, and they hardly ever get sick because their body's efficiency for vitamin C metabolism is so genetically intact.
Mm.
We all have this genetic predispositions, as the Bible says. Paul talked about having a weakness, a thorn in his flesh. We want to find out what our thorns are so that we can help protect our body from disease. That's the bottom line with doing genetic testing, really.
Mhm. So you'd say there's a big part of genetic testing has to do with preventive approach, really trying to
Yes,
get ahead
exactly.
of things. Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of society is not preventative in nature. They're reactive, and that's what medicine is set up for. And the disease focus then puts us in a reactive model, and we live in a reactive model of taking medications for the rest of our life to manage our condition, and it's unnecessary. It doesn't work. It hasn't
Well,
helped America, and it's
yeah, and
certainly
it's interesting too. I think a lot of people know that phrase that says, I think it's called an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure or something like that. So
yes.
I think the concept is if you focus on the approaches to prevent, your body actually tends to get better from the conditions you're dealing with. So, and this has to do with the chronic lifestyle things that we're dealing with. We're not talking about, the emergency stuff that you need somebody to sew you up or set your bone or what have you. Like this is chronic lifestyle diseases. The solution is not medicating. It's not surgery to remove. It's changing the lifestyle patterns that brought you to that place. That's what you did with your life, Steve, and that's what we've seen with so many people's lives that have come through the office that we've helped. It's
Yeah.
so
Did you
well.
see at the
Go ahead.
bottom of that page 4 on the right-hand side,
Uh-huh.
highlighted in green, supplements. See
Hmm.
it there? Yeah. So this is a supplement protocol based on the genetic weaknesses of where support needs to come. Now, what's this is the lab's work. The lab is identifying this person has low levels of alpha lipoic acid, low levels of glutathione, acetylcysteine, and acetylcysteine. But some of these nutrients are intermediate metabolites. Alpha lipoic acid is formed from vitamin C.
Right.
Cysteine is a downstream molecule formed from methionine. Same way with glutathione. Glutathione is a part of that methyl pathway. And so we can make these nutrients when we have other nutrients present. And so my recommendation will vary a little bit from what the lab gives, but these
Hmm.
areas will be covered.
Right.
And I believe covered even better because if you take alpha lipoic acid, one of those downstream products that are produced, or maybe you're taking a reduced glutathione, they don't stay in your system very long and they're out of there. But if you have the nutrients that feed your cells what they need to metabolize and utilize, N-acetylcysteine or glutathione, your body's going to be working for you all day long and nighttime. So really important.
Yeah.
Get the genetic testing. They show the detox pathways need support. So this person obviously had some problems in detox metabolism and supplementing magnesium. So important. And they show it twice. The phase 2 transport excretion, kidney and GI tract support for magnesium, and they show magnesium needed in detox uh, 1 phase of the
Right.
liver.
It's in all of them, all four.
Yes, it is because of the inability they have to metabolize magnesium.
Very common deficient nutrient.
So getting serum levels, it's interesting though, when you look at serum blood levels of magnesium, a very tight reference range for optimal health because it's a nutrient that wants to get into the cell and perform multiple activities to give you energy, metabolize sugar, detox the body, uh, the all the parts of your system require certain nutrients, and those are when you see this genetic information, you realize, wow, this is even more important, even though I'm taking, say, 600 milligrams of magnesium a day, but you keep coming back with low serum levels of magnesium, you're using it up and wasting it out so rapidly, you need to consider increasing. So this is what we do to keep people in optimal levels so their vitality is what they dream about and they stay far away from disease.
Right. Yeah, that's what we're about. And that's goes for people dealing with all sorts of health issues. This could be autoimmune conditions, cancer, heart disease, all these chronic lifestyle conditions can benefit from doing genetic testing. Well, let's kind of circle back here. There's some more questions that are addressed on this page here on the website. So you can go in here and dive deeper. It talks about the two different panels, Pro 7 and
Yeah, Jason
Nutrigen. So do
mentioned
you
that
want to
right
talk a
there.
little bit? Yeah, you want to talk a little bit about those,
The Pro
Steve?
7 is the panel that I did because there's so much more information in a Pro 7. The one we just looked at is the Nutrigen panel. I think it has 353 genetic variants that are tested, and I forget how many are in the Pro 7. It's quite a bit more. Um, no, this one has 300. Yeah, it's down below 363, but the actual Pro 7, I don't remember how many it has. But the Pro 7 has multiple different components to it, dealing with methylation, neurotransmitter processing, mitochondrial function. This is a big one, folks. your mitochondria is what's burning your fuel. Excuse me. Your detoxability. If you can't clear toxins, you're at high risk of multiple metabolic diseases, anything from autoimmune disorder to cancer, neuroinflammatory potential, all types of mood disorders there, external inflammatory potential. The neurointernal inflammation versus the external inflammation is a response to external inflammatory factors, whether you're predisposed to neurological inflammation or the effects of external inflammation are damaging to you. And then the health precautions, the personalized health advisories that are based on your genetics. These are some general things that go anywhere from the food sensitivities to the vitamins and minerals that they identify in that section. There's 7 sections to this Pro 7, and they have very in-depth enzymatic or genetic evaluations within each one. The bottom line is you come away with, more specific nutrient considerations and dietary factors that you can change and lifestyle factors that make a difference, that restore health to a level that you hadn't experienced before because you didn't know this information. You didn't know your genetic needs and where your weakness is. Always protect against those weaknesses so
Right.
that you can stay strong. And then, like the scripture says, boast in those weaknesses because you're weak in flesh, but God is greater in us and he can do great things even amidst all of our weakness due to the fall of man and
Right.
the need for the earth to be restored, and it will be one day.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up because the more we study and learn about health and the body and what we're having to deal with in our world, the more we realize we need to seek God for help. We are helpless, we are weak, you know, we're on our way to the grave, basically. So we need God's mercy, God's healing power to come. Our responsibility is to be good stewards, right? And that's what he wants us to do, to humbly submit to him, to be good stewards, to lift up our body as a temple to him, and then he does the rest, and we've seen
Yeah,
it.
that terminology of being a steward means you're taking care of something that's not your own,
Right.
which I guess the problem there is most people think the body they live in is their own.
Mm.
And
Maybe
it's
one.
scripture is very specific about it.
Right.
Your body, 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 1 Corinthians 3:16, your body is not your own. It belongs to God. He created it. He created everything. So
Mhm.
he's saying then, therefore glorify God in your body. Do what it takes all the days of your life to make this body a living sacrifice to him and of course then to others by serving and laying down your life. But if you're unhealthy and you're focused on poor health and taking meds all the time, and yeah, you're not as effective of a minister of his truth and his love. So we want to be highly functional as much as we can. And
Right.
I have so many weaknesses that I have to battle against. My morning requires so much to prep for the day, but that's the way I've been dealt. I'm
Right. Yeah. And so we've got this testing now at the Nutrition and Health Center. And I think temporarily we've got a discount for the first few folks that are going to be able to test.
yeah, the first orders that come in, we can do this, I think, for another couple of weeks. We're going to offer 30% off.
Wow.
I think that's right. No, I'm sorry. 20% off. 20% off.
Oh, 20. Okay. 20%. So this is the genetic testing at the Nutrition Health Center. There's two panels that we run, the Pro 7 and the Nutrigen. And so all they need to do is contact the office, right? 281-440-0024. If you're a client, obviously we'll be able to get this going for you. If you're not a client, we can do this as well, but you'll need to have a consult with one of us. At least a 15-minute consult to get you started. But that's kind of a new thing we're offering for people that are not really, wanting a more detailed. We recommend getting a detailed hour-and-a-half initial appointment so that we can really break down to you with you our approach and get a really personalized plan started for you. But if you do the genetic testing, it obviously will personalize it to an extent that the testing is able to help as we saw. So there will be some personalization. But yeah, if you get an initial with us, obviously we'll be able to go deeper with you. So contact the office as soon as you can to get that testing started so that you can get that 20% discount. Our office number is 281-440-0024. And yeah, you can get started with a good discount with this test. Now,
Yeah. So we got we have a 2-week window for that
2
discount
weeks.
code that the lab has offered us to get people started.
Okay.
That's
So
why I set
basically
mine up.
they need a test before Thanksgiving. They need to get that
Yeah,
in.
ideally get that test before Thanksgiving and get it in.
Now, Steve, when someone has genetic imbalances, we can't go all over the place, but let's talk about one way that someone can, start with supplementation to help optimize their genetic potential. So, what would be like the first one or two things that come to your mind that are supplements that are almost across the board needed for where we're at today in the US that can optimize our genetic potential?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, Jason, is the most genetic deficiency that I have seen in the past has to do with the metabolism of vitamin B12 and folate. And so our B12 max, if you look at the research as well, how long ago was it when they first found B12 deficiencies and started giving injections to people? This B12 is a sublingual, you dissolve it in the mouth. The blood levels of B12 then go up substantially. Don't waste your money testing for blood levels of B12 because it's always going to be up and down depending on when you've taken your B12. And so the B12 that we want to see gets in the body, gets in the cells, activates methylation, works in the production of downstream glutathione. And we need this constantly going on to protect our cells, to allow for new cells to be birthed. In the bone marrow, you use B12 to make new cells, the folate as well. And then there's B6 in this product that helps with nerve transmission. There are a lot of nervous system disorders today, mood disorders, sleep disorders. As a result, the B6 vitamins are being burned out in metabolism quickly. This is considered the nerve B vitamin because it helps in the metabolizing of neurotransmitters and other metabolic factors. So this is a big one for genetics. Now, the second, I would say, Jason, is the choline max, the choline citrate. So choline,
we're going to be switching the name here to like basically today, this weekend. So it'll be switching over.
So it's called choline max. It does what that name that we originally gave it says. It really enhances cell energy, but in the structure of all your cells is a neurotransmitter that helps with the signaling of all components that come into the body. It's called acetylcholine, and it's formed from choline, this liquid choline. Choline works to break down fats in the body, and fat metabolism is what allows the cells to receive and see their genetic signals. So I would say this in conjunction with our Pure Omega fish oil, those three are probably your top three genetic potential improvers. Use the choline with the fish oil 2 to 3 times a day, the Pure Omega-3, and get those cell membranes really healthy so that number one, the blood can transport. Number two, the cells that you're transporting to are healthy so that they can receive the intake of the money you're investing. When you put vitamins in your body, you want them to get into your cells, get into metabolism, healthy cell membranes with the choline, good fat metabolism with that, including the Pure Omega to be able to metabolize and to lower inflammation, and the additional DHA, which helps with nerve firing and the brain function. And then, of course, your B12 max. All
Those
a
are great.
good
Yeah.
combination start. Those three, Jason, will really get people better genetic potential.
And do you mind if I add one? One of my favorites, one of your favorites?
Yeah.
I would say the vitamin C max would be a good one too if y'all are really wanting to get your immune system to respond to the health issues. That is often a very deficient one. And when people increase that, all sorts of health challenges are addressed. But I just wanted to say that because that one I like a
Yeah.
lot. I've
I
been
won't
thinking about
argue
that
with
one a
that one.
lot. Yeah, we could
Ascorbic.
probably talk about almost all of them in some way.
Well, there's one more since you're piling things on here. And we just talked about it. You saw in that test result the magnesium needs,
Hmm.
all those
Yeah,
different metabolic pathways, enzymes
yeah,
that require magnesium are just a large amount, more than probably 90% of other nutrients. So it's
yeah.
interesting that research has found the Bible has a reference to a mineral water that God tried to give the Israelites that is rich in magnesium salt. And that was the bitter waters at Mara. So the researchers that the information was given in a book called A Way in the Wilderness by Jamie Buckingham. And that's what they found in those bitter waters. So magnesium, folks, can't go wrong there. And if you're not taking magnesium, you're in trouble. Your heart needs it. Your enzyme pathways for blood sugar control need it. It's just such an important nutrient.
Well, and there's a lot of things in our lifestyle that are depleting the magnesium as well. The caffeine, medications, high stress. I mean, so much of our lifestyle is like draining the magnesium in our body. And that's another reason why it's such a big need for so many people.
Yeah, when you said stress, it's correlating obviously with calming the nerve firing in the nervous system. People sleep better when they take magnesium at night. Everybody will tell you that. And if they have, I've had people with sleep disorders just give them the right amount of magnesium and that took care of it.
Mm.
So, folks, don't go start with at least 600 a day. Our magnesium power is that right? Yeah.
Yep.
It's 3 in the morning and 3 at nighttime is an optimal amount for an average person. And then it just goes up with there, the bigger you are. Like I take 9 a day. I'm not a big guy, but I just need the magnesium in my metabolism. I can tell. I've done too much testing and found that important. And I'm excited to see this genetic testing because it's far reaching over what I've done before.
Great. Well, folks, today, if you order your next order, if you use this code on those supplements that we talked about, you will get 10% off on prospernutrition.com. So the code is 111524SHOW. So if you're watching the actual date, like either live or the day that we do it, today is November 15th, 2024. And that's the date. So 111524SHOW. But if you're watching this after, it's fine. Still use it. You will get 10% off your next order. So 111524SHOW. and you can put that in the coupon code area, and you'll be get 10% off your next order. So get started today, start feeling the difference, and prosper and be in health. Thank y'all for watching. Steve, thank you so much for sharing.
My pleasure.
And we'll look forward to seeing y'all next time here on the Prosper Nutrition Show. Take care.